Video I'm going to attempt what should be a relatively straightforward EVA foam build, one that you may want to try yourself. It's the 29th of April 2019, and if like myself you've been through a recent emotional event, this build may help, and well, I'll show you what it is. I'm going to try and recreate the Avengers A. I'll make it in foam, I'll paint it, I'll make it look as close to metal and realistic as possible. So stick with me, I'll describe the process, we'll go through it, and like I say, maybe it's something you could have a go with yourself. Okay. Too soon? So I found this image on the internet, scaled it to what I thought was a decent size, and I've printed it out on a sheet of A3 paper. What I'm going to do is basically, with a sharp blade, is cut around it. I have a metal straight edge which is very useful, but basically take my time and go around edges. There's a bit here, I'm not going to cut that gap out, I'm going to actually continue the circle to make it a solid shape. But yeah, I mean, cut around the whole outline of this. Until I've got my template ready for putting on my EVA foam. Now, you don't really need to see me do all this because you can probably cut things out. Now, you could use scissors. Excuse me. You could use scissors for this. It's just you might get a little more control with a blade. And just literally take your time, go around the whole thing until you've got your template. I used a similar technique for the shield I did. When you're doing pre-existing images, rather than making stuff up, it's good if you can get reference, whether that's just a picture that you can copy, or in this case something that you can print out and use. Like I say, you don't really need to see me do all this. I'll continue to cut it out, and then I will show you the finished piece, which will then be transferred to foam, and we'll cut it out. Now I'm looking at this as I'm doing it, and I'm deciding whether when I do transfer it to foam I'm going to actually cut any angles as I cut the foam. I'll decide that when I get there. It may be just in this, I cut out the shape first and then we work on different ways of getting an edge. I think it'd be nice to have a bit of a beveled edge on the outside. Let's get rid of that. It needs a beveled edge, and it's just whether I do that as I'm cutting it into the foam or I add the beveled edge later. I think I may add it later just to show you how I'm going to do it. I don't actually know how I'm going to do it yet. That may require you watching some videos by people who actually know what they're doing. I'm kind of still figuring this out myself. Like I say, I've watched lots of videos of other people doing this type of stuff, and I've absorbed some of that, I think. Or I probably wouldn't be doing this, but I'm still figuring it out. I'm still learning how to do it, and I will make those mistakes that I'm so averse to making. But yeah, that's it so far. I'm going to cut out all the white inside. I'm going to leave this bit because I want to get some nice edges in there, but you don't need to see this. I will finish it off. I'll show you the end paper template, and then we'll transfer it to the foam and get cutting that out. Okay, I'll carry on with this. Just to say, when you are doing this, it's good to have the blade at as low an angle as possible, and then you prevent any, I don't know what you call him, but it's like stuttering with the blade. If you do it at an angle like that, it tears, it can judder, but if you keep it as low as possible, it does make for cleaner cuts. You can get rulers that are plastic but that have a metal edge. They're quite useful because you can actually see through them what's underneath, and I probably should get one at some stage, but this was available and I think fairly inexpensive. You'll have to excuse me, I do have a little bit of a cold, but it's nothing life-threatening so far. I do have this stone, which was it came free with a chisel set, and I found, I mean, you can buy sharpeners that are specifically for this kind of thing, but I found this stone actually works quite well. It does its job at really sharpening this blade. And a sharp blade helps so much in getting good edges. Almost there. And there we go. The A ready to be transferred to EVA foam, which you will see in the next section. There we go. So this is what we're going to be working with. This is EVA foam, and the easiest way to get this is the puzzle edge floor matting you can get. You get it in packs of 5, packs of 10. It's fairly cheap. It's not perfect. You can find little pits in it, but for what we're going to do, it should be okay. Now this is it's quite a big piece, so our image, we may as well cut it down basically. So I'm just going to cut a small piece out of this, so that it's easier to work with. So let me do that first. A sharp box cutter knife, and just cut a smaller piece out. Again, keep your angle as low as possible just to make it easier to manipulate. So this is what we're going to work with, and basically I'm going to go around the edges of this with a ballpoint pen. Now normally I would pin this down, but I'm going to try just weighting it a little so that I don't put any more holes in. So simple, just draw around the edges. Now for cutting it out. Now you want to cut this with, so if we look at the image, what I'm going to try and do is get a beveled edge around this, but I'm going to start with just a straight edge, and I'm either going to trim it with the blade afterwards, or I'm going to try and sand it. I think I'll probably trim it with the blade, just for speed, but I'm going to cut it out straight to start with. I'm going to, well, we'll see what I'm going to do. I'm going to do some detail lines, I think, but I'll show you that later. But first, let's cut the shape out, and then you can at least see what we've got there. Again, I'll use a straight edge wherever I can. So. And you can gently push that in. Cut that. Just ease the blade in. This is a fairly cheap knife. The better ones are going to be a bit more stable to give you a straighter cut, but this should do. Now weirdly, this foam blunts knives really quickly, and you're going to get the cleaner edges the sharper the blade is, so it's worth getting something, whether it's a sharpening stone or a bit of sandpaper, high grit sandpaper, or you can buy tools that will do this, almost like a steel you would use for sharpening kitchen knives, but smaller. Obviously when you've got a straight edge to cut against, it's much easier. The round edges are going to be a little more difficult.
we shall persevere. Slightly off the wheel today.
Now for the round bits. Take your time. This may not be perfect, but we can sand it down afterwards. Try and keep the blade at 90 degrees. You can do bevel cuts. Now these are used a lot in costume making to get sharper edges, different angles and things. For this, like I say, it's gonna be as simple as possible for both you and me. Because it's quite satisfying, I think. I need to shot there. Straight there. Now you can cut away a lot of the excess foam. It will make the job of moving this a bit easier, but I'm a little impatient and just want to get it cut out. Nice firm pressure. As smooth a cut as you can make it. There's a messy bit there. I will try and clean up now. But again, you can sand these bits away after the fact. Okay. It's a little easier to deal with. You can see the slight there, but that should come away with a bit of belling inside it. So the last bits now, and then we'll have the basic shape of the Avengers A. Find it's better if you keep the blade in the foam as you turn it. If you start again, you're more likely to get those hanging bits of foam that I got before. Stubborn. Alright, okay. But you can see this foam is textured on the underside to stop it slipping on floors, and that's what it's for. You can buy EVA foam from suppliers that excuse me, that is smooth on both sides, and it's of a higher quality usually. This is just the easiest to get hold of. And one bit. And there we go. The beginning of something special. Okay. Next bit, some cleaning up and some detailing work. Okay. Thank you for watching. In the next video I'll do some detail work and then we'll do the paint job. So far so good. Thank you.